In an effort to bring better understanding of official baseball rules to Major League players, fans, and media, the following video explains changes to the rulebook and other areas of emphasis for the 2016 season. During the offseason, several rules were changed and clarifications were made by the Playing Rules Committee. These changes were accepted after hours of discussion and debate by many people, including the Competition Committee, owners, general managers, and umpires. Each rule was approved by the Major League Baseball Players Association on behalf of all Major League players. These rules govern all play at the Major League and minor league levels and ensure fairness and safety on the field. Hi, I'm Matt Yala from MLB Network. Please pay close attention as we review the changes and clarifications for the upcoming season. Under pace of play initiatives, game break clocks will be set to coordinate with the television breaks. 2 minutes and 5 seconds for locally televised games, and 2 minutes and 25 seconds for national games. And new this season, there will be a 30-second timer for visits to the mound by a manager or coach. The clock starts when the manager leaves the dugout. Rules 305 and 306 were amended to allow the length of a fielder's glove and first baseman's mitt to be up to 13 inches. Rules 404, 701, and 702 were amended to include home field advantage in the postseason as a reason that a postponed, suspended, or tied game would need to be played. Now let's look at the 2016 official rules and amendments and example plays to illustrate. Rule 508B was amended to clarify that on a game-ending play where the runners advance without liability to be put out, the runner at third base touching the plate and the batter runner touching first base are the only runners that must advance to declare the game over. For this rule to be invoked, the batter runner must be awarded first base and create a force that causes all runners to advance one base without liability to be put out, such as when a batter takes a base on balls or is hit by a pitch. In those cases only, the batter runner touching first base and the runner from third base touching home plate ends the game. In this video, the failure of the runner from second base to touch third base does not matter, as the game was over when the runner from third base touched home plate and the batter runner touched first base. Rules 506 and 509 were amended to address the situation where the lead runner runs back beyond a base that is now occupied by the trailing runner. In this video example, the lead runner, attempting to evade being put out in a rundown, retreated past third base toward left field, with the following runner occupying third base. When the lead runner went beyond third base, the following runner was now closer to home plate and, by rule, had passed the lead runner. At this point, the runner from second base is considered out. However, the lead runner, who was beyond third base, would still be in jeopardy. He could attempt to return to third base, be tagged out, or if he progressed far enough away from third base, could be called out for abandoning. Rule 603 was amended to state that interference should be called on a hole thrown bat that hits the catcher or his glove as he attempts to catch a pitch where there are runners on base and/or it is the third strike. It is interference regardless of whether the batter intended to hit the catcher. The video example illustrates that the batter threw his bat and hit the catcher's glove as he was attempting to catch the pitch. This action denied the catcher an opportunity to make a play on the runner who was attempting to steal second base. The catcher had not moved into a position where the umpire would have ruled catcher's interference, and the batter would be called out for interference. This rule was amended to reflect the concept that the batter is responsible for his hole-thrown bat on batted and pitched balls. However, this rule does not relieve the catcher of his responsibility to give the batter the opportunity to hit the pitch. The play will be treated as any other batter interference situation. The umpire will call the violation in situations where it denies the catcher a play on a runner or batter runner, such as a strike three with the opportunity to advance. But if the catcher is able to make a play on the runner and the catcher retires the runner, then play will proceed without reference to the interference. Otherwise, the batter is out and all runners must return to the base occupied at the time of the pitch. Rules 506, 509, and 512 were amended so that all out-of-play areas, including the dugouts and the stands, are treated the same way, such that a player may no longer make a play out of the dugout. For over a decade, a legal catch in the dugout was not allowed. Yet a player who made a catch and then entered a dugout could continue to play so long as the player did not fall. This rule has been amended to treat the dugout the same as when a player enters into the stands. That is, the ball shall be dead when a player steps or falls into any out-of-play area, such as the dugout or stands. In the video example, the catcher made a legal catch before entering the dugout, but once he stepped into the dugout, the umpire would call time and the ball becomes dead. On this play, the catch would be allowed, the ball would be dead, and all runners would advance one base from the last legally touched base when the player stepped into the dugout. Rule 601 was clarified to note that interference by the batter-runner must be on a third strike not caught. The rule was amended to add the language "not caught," as the batter is out by other rules if the third strike is caught in flight or if first base is occupied with less than 2 outs, as provided by other rules. The batter who becomes a batter-runner by a third strike not caught would be called out if he deflected the uncaught third strike in a manner that hindered the catcher's ability to make a play on the uncaught third strike. The definition of tag was amended to state that touching a runner with solely the laces hanging from the glove does not constitute a valid tag. This video depicts a play where hanging laces appeared to contact the runner prior to the glove itself on a close play at second base. This amendment has also provided a clarification on the definition of touch to reflect that the player's equipment is considered touched on a tag attempt if the equipment is in contact with its intended place on his person. In the video example, the runner would be judged to have been tagged as his helmet was tagged with the ball while still in contact with its intended position on his head. Minor changes were made to the exceptions in Rule 504B4 that allow the batter to leave the box following a pitch. By amending this rule, the batter is no longer required to keep 1 foot in the batter's box when the plate umpire appeals a check swing or a pitch causes the batter to lose his balance, and the batter may leave the batter's box and the dirt area surrounding home plate during an injury or potential injury situation. In addition to the changes to the official baseball rules, amendments were made to the replay regulations and the slide rule. The new slide rule is in effect for double plays at any base. Runners are permitted to initiate contact with the fielder, but only in the course of a legal slide that meets the following 4 criteria. The runner slides by hitting the ground before reaching the base. The runner is able and attempts to reach the base. The runner is able and attempts to stay on the base, and the runner does not change his pathway to the base for the purpose of initiating contact with the fielder. Please note that just because a runner may have failed to engage in a bona fide slide does not necessarily mean that interference will be called in all contexts. For instance, if the conduct of the runner would not constitute interference because the runner did not hinder or impede the fielder's attempt to complete the subsequent play, then the umpire will not call interference. Here is an example of a legal slide where contact is also initiated. This is an example of an illegal slide where the runner did not engage in a legal slide. In this example, the penalty for violating the rule is that the interfering runner and the batter runner are called out. If there were other runners on base, they would return to the last legally touched base. Whether a player violated the slide rule on a double play will now be eligible for replay review. In addition, the so-called neighborhood play, where the fielder may not have been required to touch second base in his attempt to complete a double play and avoid a collision with the runner, has been eliminated. In this example, the fielder is now required to touch second base while in possession of the ball for an out to be awarded at second base, and this play is now subject to replay review. Finally, within replay, one additional play type will be eligible for review: an umpire's placement of runners in a dead ball boundary call situation where the ball may have left the field of play or been interfered with by a fan. In this play, the placement of the runners would be judged from the position of the runners at the time the throw is released by the center fielder. We see the time delay between when the wild throw is released and when it actually went out of play. If the runner who started the play at first base had not reached second base when the throw was released by the center fielder, he would be placed at third base. However, since the runner was past second base, he was placed at home plate. The use of replay in these situations will help umpires with difficult runner placements. The rules that govern Major League Baseball are constantly evolving and often require the judgment of umpires and league officials who insist on their strict observance. It's important to fully understand and abide by these rules at all times in order to help keep our national pastime competitive, safe, fun, and engaging for players and fans alike. I'm Matt Yaloff of MLB Network. Thanks for joining me, and have a great season.